Good afternoon, dear participants.
Good afternoon.
Okay, so let me introduce the chief guest for this session, Dr. J. Jaslyn Drusilla Nesamalar. She has received her BE, ME, and PhD doing full-time from Tyagarajar College of Engineering, Madurai. She worked in Tata Consultancy Services for Bank of America project for a span of 2 years. Presently, she is working at Kamaraj College of Engineering and Technology for the past 4 years. Her research areas of interest include power system optimization, deregulation, smart grid, and microgrid. She has been awarded with Startup Research Grant SRG from Science and Engineering Research Board SERP under DST worth 28 lakhs for the project entitled Optimal Design and Development of Machine Learning Model for remote monitoring and control of hybrid microgrid in educational institutions using smart sensor network and IoT. Presently, the project is in progress and it will be ended within 6 months. She has recruited a junior research fellow and they both are working along with the faculty members. She has published nearly 10 journals in elsewhere as well as in other international referred journals. Now, Dr. J. Jaslyn will handle the session. So, good afternoon, all. Myself, Dr. J. Jaslyn. I'll be presenting the session. The topic is Machine Learning and IoT in Microgrid. So, this application comes for most of power system applications in electrical and electronics engineering. So far, for the past few days, you are seeing the various techniques of machine learning and its application in electrical engineering. So in this session, we will be seeing how to incorporate both machine learning and Internet of Things in microgrid. So as the word microgrid states, in the earlier days, we had a grid where it is horizontally integrated. That is the generation, transmission and distribution. All these three things were hidden from the consumer side. So we need just to pay the electrical utility company. Whereas after some years, the deregulated market came into force where all these three entities were disintegrated and vertical markets were introduced. And as such, the days goes on, the smart grid concept entered the market where the meters were installed and those readings were monitored remotely and suitable control measures were undertaken. And nowadays we talk microgrid and also we talk nanogrid. So microgrid means the grid which is being functional in a very smaller rating level. So for example, even your house or even your institution, even your small company can act as a microgrid. So as such, grid means it is all this generation, transmission and distribution, these three will be incorporated. So if you take your house, so how your house can become microgrid means you can generate the power using especially solar, or else we can use other power generating sources also like biomass, or else we have fuel cells also. So those generated power we will use it within our house. So if it is DC power, then we can directly incorporate those DC power to the DC machines in our houses. So for example, we have LED TVs, we have computers, and we have nowadays even brushless DC machines, fans, and for such a case we can directly use those DC power to directly meet our DC load requirements. The three main keywords as such, it is ML and IoT. So these two things will be incorporated in this microgrid. So even though just now we have seen what is microgrid, so what is the need for this ML in this microgrid and what is the need for this IoT in this microgrid? So that we need to think now. So machine learning, even though it is a very developing technology which had its root in artificial intelligence under computer science engineering. So nowadays, as many things are becoming interdisciplinary, so we can apply this machine learning in our microgrid also. So how? So let's see that more data will be generated in this microgrid concept. So even in our house where we have the smart meter, if we have the smart meter, then just imagine how much data is being generated even within an hour. So if you consider a simple locality of domestic of residential or any industries or factories or even agriculture, so you just see how many data which we will be collecting. So all those data, it will be just data if we don't apply analytics. But if we start pondering upon the data for different localities, then we can, it would be the data science, and in that data science we can apply machine learning techniques. And how this IoT comes into matter is, so as we use sensors, we can get more controlling information, that too at the right time. So by properly integrating and sending to a cloud where all those data is processed, and we can avoid the manual intervention by properly coding the machine. So briefly seeing the definition of these three keywords, so IoT, it refers to a system of interrelated, interconnected objects. That is the main thing. So all those items will be internet connected, which will be able to collect and transfer data over a wireless network. It's again a keyword. It is a wireless network without any human intervention. So in our like we have the IoT surveillance system where we fit the cameras in a remote place, and with the help of modems and other things, we are able to monitor the places from our mobile phone itself. So then we'll see microgrid. So microgrid, it is a local energy grid with its own control capability. It is completely disconnected from the traditional grid. So we can have the option. If the generation is not met for the load, then we can connect a grid by a suitable switch. Otherwise, if we are able to be self-generation, then it is not required. And the last keyword is machine learning. So it is an application of artificial intelligence which gives devices the ability to learn from their experiences. So by giving more data, and it can predict. So for example, in our college, we are implementing this. So by collecting a data for a span of 6 months or for a span of 1 year, then we can easily predict the future demand. That is after 1 year, like during vacation time or during the peak time or during the afternoon session. So how will be the power consumption in the colleges? So in that case, we can make the device to learn from our own data, and then we can improve their self without doing any coding. So it's not any coding, just data. It will play with data and it will come with a solution which is almost correct, and we can take reasonable judgment from those results. So machine learning, we had three different broad areas, that is reinforcement learning, supervised learning and unsupervised learning. So all these titles you have already seen in the past few sessions. So now I will skip these sessions. We will directly see what is the application of this machine learning in smart grid or in microgrid. So these are the different techniques which is given here. So all these are the broad main techniques. So under reinforcement learning, we had this reward systems, decision process, and learning tasks, self-learning and skill acquisition. In supervised learning, we have classification and regression, And this forecasting plays a major role in our electrical systems. And then we have ranking. For unsupervised learning, we have clustering, segmentation, associate mining, and dimension reduction. So we mostly focus this supervised learning. So without machine learning, we have to feed everything. We have to give more instructions, but with machine learning, it's sufficient to give the data alone. So the computer itself will learn from the data and it will give meaningful results. So this different algorithms. And now we will see this example. So here, if you see this news.google.com, it would give more data, which is which will be updated from the recent news. So this is how all these things happen means. So it picks the data from the major websites or from the major news channel, and it gives the latest news to us based upon the different categories. So if you want to see the about sports, then what will do, it will fetch all the recent news about the sports from the major news of sports channels, and then it will list the top stories. So this is an example of this machine learning. It learns itself, and it minimizes the human intervention, because it automatically, once we code and once we check whether it is doing correct, then we can be free, because it will automatically fetch data for every the future days. And in this smart surveillance and IoT. So now let's see this IoT intervention here. So in IoT intervention, and we need smart devices. That is a must. So by integrating, so earlier we had sensors, but those sensors, it will just sense and give data. But by incorporating all those smart data from the devices, we need smart devices which will directly communicate to the Internet of Things, and with that we can monitor, and then we can able to control also. So this Internet of Things, it is used in these areas like for security, for traffic automation, and for connected cars, then alert systems, and for essential services of emergency services. So here we are able to just monitor all those informations, and here it shows the different applications of IoT. Now let's see where our smart grid stands here. So this is based on the data collected from three sources, that is Google, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So based upon these sources, so they have ranked the applications of IoT in different areas. So I will just unopen the first majorly used application, that is the smart home. So smart home, in the IoT is majorly used in smart home. It is not just a home. We can include the offices also. So smart buildings, we can say. So like smart thermostat and lights, even the lights we can able to control from remote places. Even we can turn on the switch at evening 7 p.m. and we can turn off at 10 p.m. even if we are not in the house. And we have fridge, and we have smart door lock, and so much devices are being uh, are thriving the market every day, and the buyers are very interested to incorporate this IoT in the home, so that they can monitor all the activities happening in the home wherever they are. Now let's see the second application where this IoT is commonly used. I hope you can guess that it is wearables. So we have smart watches and smart glass and activity tracker. We also have some gym activities also, our exercise activities, our heartbeat monitoring. So such all those things, it is all these things, it is possible by having the smart wearables. And third one, it is in smart city, where the smart parking and smart waste management, it accounts for 34%. And the next one, it is smart grid. So our area is smart grid. So this IoT, it manages this top fourth position in among all the applications. So even though it is a bit less than the smart home, it is currently in progress because it is a very vast area. So smart grid, it evolved from the time when Edison and he started those DC system. So it was a very rigid system earlier days. So gradually, these smart appliances, smart metering, all those things are being made uh, into application, and we can able to implement this IoT in the smart grid. So other things I will quickly run through. We have industrial internet and connected car and health system and smart retail options, smart supply chain and smart farming. So all those things where IoT is being implemented, and definitely in the next few years we can see a remarkable change in the ranking of this. So once all many meters were by having proper funding, so the smart grid it can climb the market. And what is the essential thing in this machine learning and IoT? First one is data collection. That is the main step. So how the data will be collected? By having proper sensors. So what data we can collect? So usually earlier days we used to sense only the voltage, current, power and power factor, because these were the essential data earlier days. But nowadays, based upon the type of the instrument, so we can collect the different data like how much it is vibrating and the acoustic emission, even other pollutions, the speed and current. This is all this data is for wind. For wind turbine, it is shown. So like this, we can implement this essential smart meter, and we can get the data of the appliances. And after data collection, so we need to feed this data to the machine for its self learning. So here we have this artificial intelligence coming into matter here. So we will extract some commonly used features. So the data should be correct. We should not give data which is not correct or which is not regular. See, for example, in this pandemic situation, if you see, so we are working from home, most of us. So in our colleges, especially in our colleges, the amount of students or the amount of faculty members, so those data has considerably reduced. So in that case, we should not take that data as the reference data. Then it will not be correct. It will not be correctly predicting the future data. So the maximum load data should be given as the data for this self learning. And we have this time domain analysis, frequency domain analysis, and this time frequency domain analysis. So whether it changes for every time or whether it changes for every frequency. This is mostly applicable in communication systems where the different frequency ranges play a major role in its usage. And once the data, all this data is collected, then we will divide this into sensitive features and insensitive features. So here we have different methods, and then we have this health state recognition. So we will apply this techniques to machine learning, where we have expert system, artificial neural network and SVM techniques, and we have some more techniques coming into matter here. So it will divide the data, and it will here classification has been placed here. So based upon the faults, it will divide, and it says fault A and here fault B. So it will divide the data, and it will give the it will tell the result based upon its past experience data. And this is for solar panel locations. So with the help of satellite images. So with the help of satellite images, by doing proper image processing, we can learn more information about this solar prediction. And by giving this to convolutional neural network or any other networks or any other artificial intelligence methods, we can able to conclude what is the size of panel needed, or where it should be located, or how much we need that, and its behavior if we have any shading or due to trees or due to any um, neighboring buildings like that. So machine learning and IoT in microgrid. So here we have this solar PV array. Here if you see, by again how to apply this IoT and machine learning in the solar PV arrangements. So here we have a graph construction where all the panels, so each panel, it will be allotted, and based upon the data from each, it will be processed as either labeled data or unlabeled data. And we have here semi-supervised learning, and based on this we can predict the fault reduction. So we need not go to the site, we can predict from the remotely from the data which is collected from the various panels, and based on that we can directly diagnose the fault. Even if not each panel, see if we have 1 megawatt or like 5 megawatt grid with solar PV, then for each set we can have this sensors, and we can first monitor which area is under fault, and afterwards we can either by manual intervention, like we can see which panel has been diagnosed as fault. In that way we can do one by one. For a mass area we will take the overall area, and then we can fine tune to find the exact fault happened with the particular PV panel. And this is the load prediction and prediction error. So now we have seen about some how to use this machine learning or IoT in various techniques like smart grid or solar PV array or in wind hub generation. So those things we have seen here. Now we will see, we will still come to one in-depth analysis with the smart meter data analytics. So smart meter, I hope you can guess how much a smart meter cost. So we have AC meter. With the help of AC meter, we can sense nearly 100 different datas at every minute. The cost of AC meter may cost around nearly 12,000 to 15,000 based upon the brand. So with that smart meter data, so what all the things which we can do is, first we can see the actual load data. So what is the actual happening which every load are consuming. So that is load analysis. So apart from the load analysis, we can also do load forecasting for the future. So by collecting the data for nearly 2 to 3 months, then we can able to give some forecast based upon the application. And apart from this, we can also do load management. So load management, it is a key term in the microgrid concept. So either we need to shift the generation or we need to shift the load. So this is a matter of interest for many researchers. So in load management, we can either shift the load to its peak off-peak time, or we can manage the load by doing with the cost minimization. And after all these things, we can have some connection verification also, and outage management. So if something goes out for during a peak time, then how to manage with the rest of the sources. So that also we can do with this data analytics. And then data privacy. So I will show this data privacy also in this presentation. So we can do these many things with the help of smart meter data. The only thing which we need to do is we need to purchase a smart meter. We have to properly integrate the smart meter with the internet. And this is the cross-disciplinary machine learning. So even though we talk about smart electric grid, so it is coming under smart cities, because when we talk about smart cities, we need to have a smart electric grid within that city. So to see how much power we need for the next day, or during a weekend or during a weekday, like that. So we need to be very confidential, and also we need to be very uh, thriving in that. So also it comes that intelligent buildings also. So in intelligent buildings, we should have the proper facilities of integrating this smart meters. So all these other applications also comes under this one. So it is a cross-disciplinary where we can apply machine learning in different areas. So nobody can say that this is the ideal machine learning, or this is the place where it should be installed. So each one of us may have different area of interest, and we can apply the machine learning in our areas to explore the latest technology the most. So the smart grid or power system. So we'll focus mostly on this demand response. That is the, we'll say it as demand side management. So demand side management means how we monitor the load and how we manage the load uh, for cost minimization. But we can also do forecasting. So in forecasting we have this load and price, and for design also based upon the forecasting, even we can able to design for the future requirement of power system. So for design, for implementation and evaluation of power systems, we need this smart grid as well as the smart meters. So once we collect all the data, we will take into consideration all the environmental control objects. So if any disaster is happening, like any a storm happens or any hurricane happens, then how it reacts. So by switching off any critical area load, like how we can manage the other things. Like that we have to take into matter all the environmental controlling objects, and we will observe this with the help of computer, where we apply any machine learning algorithm here. So its applications being, we can apply in transportation systems and for cyber security. So as all the things have become now online and through internet, so security matters a lot, and we can apply this machine learning in cyber security also, where we can learn from the previous phishing or any uh, unneeded things which happen in internet, and with that learning we can help to avoid the future hacking or other unethical rules. And we can apply this machine learning in unmanned aerial vehicles also. So based upon the data collected up to 2020, so in the earlier days we had this big data and machine learning. So initially big data was not prevalent, machine learning came. And then as more data were collected, so people focused more on this data. And later they realized that it is no use, not much of use with the data. So we need to learn, we need to process the data, and again machine learning now dominates. So we need data also, but by proper data analytics using machine learning, we can able to give much better results for the future generation. So in smart grid, we can apply the forecasting, load forecasting or any acquisition technique. And here big data and machine learning. So these two things plays hand by hand. So we need these two in our microgrid area. So now we see how to get data. So if we have smart meter, then we can collect the data for some times. But if you are a researcher and if you want to finish your complete your PhD or your PDF, or you yourself have some interest in doing research on this data analytics, so here that is a website which from where we can get the latest data. Uh, so I will show this to you. So I hope you know this PJM, that is Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Maryland. So it's the PJM market which is very popular. I will show you how to get the data from this website. So this is the website. So they have given the energy market under this page. So here we have the real-time energy market. They have given 7-day load forecast. So here if you see, the data will be updated twice per hour. So for every 30 minutes we can see the updation of this one. So here it is last updated in the time 1350. So where we can see the data, and here if you see explore data set, if you click this, the Excel sheet will evolve where we can get the data from this one. So like this. So we can, here we have export option. So by exporting the data, we can get the some results. So here we have time, and we have the forecast area also. So here we have many options there. So like this, we can get data from this website. Here we have this LMP, that is locational marginal pricing also. We have more meaningful data which is open source only. So by collecting the data from here, we have some data set. So we have data in our hand, and now we will see how to use it for our machine learning operations. So this is an example of what we have installed in our introduction. So we are working on this one. So we purchased solar panel, and we have charge controller to maintain the voltage, and we have a battery which is powering the test bench. So here we have this gateway, and we have a software, and then we have various smart meters. We have both AC multifunction meters and we have DC multifunction meters. We have purchased from Elnet, and we have some meters from Quantanix, from L&T. From such companies we have purchased, and we are monitoring the load data in our powerhouse. And here I want to introduce you to the specific hardware called Jetson. So Jetson, it is a small machine, I would say, which is designed especially for machine learning applications. So it is dedicated for machine learning. We have a processor, and it is almost a machine, almost a processor. I would say it's almost a CPU. So its cost is nearly 12 to 15,000 based upon the version of the Jetson, and we can apply this for our machine learning applications. So I will show you what we are doing in our college with this project. So we have installed this smart metering in the block D block, where we have 4 floors in that, and we have installed DC meters in the UPS rooms. And all those that smart meters, they are connected using RS485 cable. That is like an OFC cable. So with that cable, we have integrated all the smart meters to a gateway, and also we have the DC meters installed in our test bench. In this test bench, we have this IoT. We have IoT Shala and other boards. So in that we have a DC meter, where if we connect any DC loads for testing for research purposes, then those DC load will be recorded in this DC meters. And we have a battery. So all these things are DC smart meters. And here we can see AC smart meters. So in our powerhouse, we have separate feeders dedicated for the different blocks. So in that we identify the major load consuming blocks. So in that we have installed separate AC smart meter for all those blocks, and again with the help of RS485 cable, all those meters are interconnected through gateway. So gateway is required to collect the information from the smart meters using this RS485, and it will be sent to the server. So from where we can monitor the data. We can able to fetch the data with Excel also. So with that we can do that data analytics in our college. And this is the photos we took from our college. Here we have the solar panel. So we had 6 panels of rating 320 watts. So 4 panels we have dedicated for AC grid, and 2 panels we have dedicated for DC grid. And we have switches, and we have inverters. We are using Havel. It is a smart meter where we can directly view the data in our dashboard. And we have AC switches, and we have AC loads. So for both DC and AC, we are working. So in microgrid concept, if you see, we may think it is only DC, but we may need some AC also. So what we can do, we can convert the DC into AC. That is also possible. And we can use it for AC loads. And one more option, whenever we have AC power generation, we can convert this into DC to meet our DC load. So if we are able to generate handsome DC power, then we can also do, we can directly power the DC load with the DC power, and we can load the AC loads with the grid power. And this is the off-grid solar, where we have this 700 watt solar panel with suitable charge controller. It is powering the test bench. So this is the test bench which I was saying. It is a 12 volt. Here we have 4 different things which is visible to you. So here we have this IoT Shala kit, where we have inbuilt nearly 5 sensors, and we have other meters also. And this is again a smart meter. It is a DC smart meter, and here a place where we will be working here. And we have a battery, 200 Ah batteries are connected. We also have a bifacial solar. So bifacial solar, it is a trending topic where both sides we have panels, but only one side will be exposed to the sun. In the lower side, we will be coating with a white paint, where the reflection from the floor will be hitting the backside of the solar panel, and hence we can increase the power generation from the solar panel. With having, so we have charge controller, and we will be having a 12 volt constant voltage from this, which will be powering the DC loads. We have purchased DC loads of DC lights and DC fans. And these are the various smart meters. So we have L measure and we have LNT meters also. These are the ranges, and all those communication, it is happened by RS 485 cable only. And we have DC meters. Again, DC meters which we dedicate for UPS rooms. So in our UPS, we have this battery charging, and the battery charging and discharging can be monitored with this DC meters. So in our college, usually, whenever the power fails from the grid, within few seconds from the DG, it will be turned on automatically, and it will support the college load. So in between that time, we have this UPS. It controls, it charges the batteries for the computer systems, and with that time we can see the charging and discharging of the batteries. So in this solar panels, the rating is 320 watts. We have 6 panels where the maximum voltage, maximum current is given, and the open circuit voltage, short circuit current, and those things are given. So here the first 4, it is for AC. So these 4 will be interconnected, and it will be given for AC. It is connected with the grid actually. This is before the integration. See, you can see the wire which is open here. And the last 2, it is for dedicated for DC. The DC power generation is directly fed with these pipes. It is directly fed to the batteries as well as the DC test bench through a charge controller of 12 volts, and we have 24 volts also. And this is the bifacial module, where we have double-sided generation. So currently we are working on this. It is a new area for us, and we are working on it. And this is the gateway. So this is a device. This is a device where the data from the RS485 cables with all the smart meters, it will be integrated. We have 2 gateways installed in our institution, and from this gateway, the data will be connected in the server system. And this is the software which we monitor the results. So it is an L measure software. So I can show that to you now. So this is one. This is the LNET 5.3 land. This is the energy management system software which we are using. So here by having this options, so presently I can't do this because we need LAN connection for this. I am working from home, and due to security and privacy issues, we can't see the data now. But this is the main screen from which we can see the results. So here we have different meters. I have attached a photo also with the data. So I can show that to you now. So this is the one. So for different buildings, no, for different blocks. So this is the naming of those meters. So for different blocks, we can see the data. We have daily logbook and other data, which we can nearly collect more than 100 details. So for the voltage or current or power factor or frequency, power, like all the powers, no, active, reactive, and apparent power for each of the phase lines. So like RYB, we can able to see, and we can also see the harmonics also. And this is the test bench. So here we have this IoT Shala kit, and we have a simple breadboard for the integration of our own circuits here, and we have a touch interface Raspberry Pi display board, and here we have this DC smart meter. So what we do is presently we are monitoring all the data, and with the help of Jetson board we will be processing the data, and we can get meaningful results, and we can give proper ideas for the management regarding the load forecasting or any other power generation from the own college institution. And this is the workstation server configuration. We have DC loads. So this is the one I showed that to you. This is the measurement software. This is the actual the main page of the software. And what we do is here we will actually doing the demand side management. That is this one. So here we see that the demand side management is a very promising approach in our smart grid environment. It will try to minimize the energy consumption from the utility at the consumer side. What we can also do is we can include energy conservation programs, energy efficiency programs, and demand response programs. So one thing is we can do the energy conservation. That is, we can minimize the energy usage, or we can do the energy efficiency programs. See, when we use the star machines, no, if we use 5-star rated appliances, then when compared with the 3-star appliances, then we can achieve a reasonable improvement in the energy consumption. So in that way we can involve, and also here we can see this demand response programs. The demand side management schemes, it is applied for different categories of users, that is residential users, industrial users, and commercial users. So the essential step being we apply this in 4 different classes of loads. So non-schedulable, we have to separate the load. That is the main thing. So in our college we are separating the different loads, no, based upon these 4 areas, that is non-schedulable, non-interruptible loads, non-schedulable interruptible loads, schedulable non-interruptible loads, and schedulable interruptible loads. So the definition of DSM being, we need to modify the customer demand for energy by giving the proper financial incentives. So by encouraging the customer to shift their loads. So for example, in our college, what we can do is by classifying the different loads, we can able to see that the pump which we use to for the water requirement of our college, as well as the recycle plant. We have a recycle plant which recycles the water for the garden purposes. So those things, it is not required to run only during the college hours. Those things we can schedule to operate by itself during the off-peak hours. So like that, by shifting the load to the off-peak hours, we can get a reasonable shift in the demand curve of the load. And the goal of DSM being, so we encourage the customer to use less energy during peak hours and to shift the major energy usage to off-peak times like nighttime and weekends. So earlier days we used to be a consumer, so where we just uh, pay the power, pay the charges for the power consumed to the electric utility. Later we became a customer. When it happened after this RPS, no restructured power system comes into matter, where there is competition among the generation. Customer, they have the choice to choose their own power utility. So that in the consumer, they become a customer. But nowadays, as the customer, they themselves can generate power, they become a prosumer. So prosumer means they can generate power, and also they can consume power. So if they are self-sufficient and if they have more power, then they can even sell their own power to the grid, and they will be awarded money for that. And these are the different demand side techniques. So in this IoT, so IoT matters when we connect smart meters. With the help of smart meters, uh, collecting all the data and we are sending it to server system. And machine learning comes when we learn the data and we are able to process it for meaningful observations. And this demand side management comes in that microgrid for this shifting of different loads. So based upon the data collected with the help of the smart meters, and we can apply these techniques using machine learning. So whether we are very eager for peak clipping or valley filling, so all these terms it is common in this load curve. See, we know this is our load curve. In the morning, early morning, it will be somewhat less, and then it will rise a peak. Again, it will reduce, and we have a evening peak, and then again it subsides. So this is the typical load curve in our country, that was before this pandemic situation. So here we have two peaks, and it is possible to clip the peaks. We can reduce the peak, and all these things are valley filling. These are the valleys, so we can increase the load in this valley time, and we have load shifting and strategic conservation. So conservation means we are encouraging the customers to reduce their power generation. And then load growth, so how the load grows for in the next 1 year, next 2 years, or 5 years, or 10 years, in that way. And then we have a flexible load shape. So all these data are given here. So we clip the peak, and here we fill the valley, we shift the load here, and we have a flexible load shape. So when we have some loads which are user comfort. So the user, it comes under user comfort means we can't order or we cannot command or encourage the customer to shift the load. It is their privacy and it is their flexibility. So those things also we should take into consideration for this demand side management. And we have the strategic load growth. So how the load is increasing at different part of the time, and we have strategic conservation. So how we reduce the power generation. So at times when we had that blackout at times, or when any major power generating plants goes outage, then we definitely need to reduce the power generation. And this is the statistics of global electricity consumption. So where 50% of the loads are being consumed by motor. That is in industries, we have induction motors mainly. And the next comes, it is residential. And next, the actual lighting loads and transportation and others. So in that case, we can give a priority of what data to be monitored first. So in our college, we are monitoring the data from the college institution. But the same thing can be applied in industries also. So where if you take any typical industry, we can by having the proper smart meters, we can analyze the data, and then we can learn whether is there any possibility for shifting any load. So this can be done with the help of machine learning techniques. So machine learning techniques you have already seen. So by properly implementing, whether we should go for supervised learning or unsupervised learning or reinforcement learning for our application, we can shift the load. We can encourage the customer to shift the load or in that way. So this is a sample energy consumption in an industry, in a milk processing industry. So where if you see here, so here milk for recovery purposes, after proper data collection, it is being shown that for the process of milk recovery, they consume this 2381 kilowatt hour, and for coagulation they need this much, and for the different process they need this much. So once we collect this data, then we can by having this percentage level, no, here you see this ripening and cooling process, it consumes nearly 67%. So which we can give more priority in this. So in smart grid, in microgrid concept, by having all the data, we can classify the data for the different operation of how much power is being required for different operations. And in that, we can do this analysis. And in this one, it is a much huge process. So here we can focus on, we can still fine tune this one. We can still go inside that, and we can see how much power consumed for the different process within this ripening and cooling process. And by having those data, we can again we can shift the data, or we can make the load to be worked during the off-peak hours, because in some states, no, they have already implemented the time of use, where they will be having, they are given different tariff for different time of hours. So in Tamil Nadu, it's almost same. But in a few states, they have implemented this one. So in that case, we can optimally incorporate this machine learning in those situations. And this is the this one. So electric hybrid system configuration. So here, when we have this grid, no, we consume power from the grid. We have this PV system also. See, in a typical home or in a typical educational institution or in any intelligent buildings, we can do this. So we can have power from utility. We can generate our own power also from solar. By having charge controller, see, like EVs also are trending, and we can store the excess power in battery, and we can use it for home demand also. So initially we start with any single step, and then we can make it as a hybridized one. We can add the other essential systems also to make it more flexible as well as more meaningful. The process being, we need to collect data, we have to optimize it, and we should get the final result. So for collecting the data, we may need the solar generation profile, because in a microgrid where the solar generation is very important, it stands alone because we have the necessary solar generation. Even though it is the data is not stable for the different parts of the time. So in India, especially in India, we can rely on the solar generation, and it is thriving more. And then we need tariff also, and we need user comfortability preference, and we have this plug-in other EVs profile also. And we need to optimize all those four things by applying suitable techniques. And then we can get the final result. The result, what will be the result means we can have some activity schedule. So at what time different loads need to be operated, at what times the battery needs to be charged on or discharged, and then we have this PEV's battery schedule, and then power scaling schedule. So if we have excess power, then at what time we can generate, what time we can export the power. In that way, we will be getting all those results, which will be used for the grid as well as for the individual. So it includes this one, so different things. So by having the preference of the user for the different appliances, and based upon the driving profile of the driver and the solar generation for the particular place and the different tariff system. So if we have time of use, then we need to give that data also as the input. So by having all these things, we can make a suitable microgrid concept where only the IoTs and machine learning will be incorporated, and we can have site we have a meaningful answers in the result, so which will be very useful for the future planning also. So all these things are being implemented, and we are able to publish more journal papers also with this work. So with this, I want to conclude for this session. If you have any doubts, you can ask.
Participant can unmute yourself and ask a doubt. I want to inform you that she is one who is having the maximum value of fundings from the government, around 28 lakhs. She is working on it. So if you are having related work, you can discuss it there. So you can ask your doubt. There is no doubt. They can we can conclude. Can you share your feedback, ma'am? Ma'am.
Yes, sir. I will post the feedback link now, sir.
Okay. Okay.
I request the participants to fill the feedback. The PPTs as well as the video recordings, it will be forwarded to all the participants at the end of the FDP, that is after the 2 weeks session. So thank you all. Have a nice day. I request you to join for the next day session, that is tomorrow morning.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Justin, ma'am, for your valuable presentation and your time.
You're welcome, sir.
Participant, fill the feedback. So let us join